Good evening, Dhamma friends. Welcome back to BMV Monday Sutta Study Day 30, where we will be discussing about last section of the SABBASAVA Sutta. Since we've been taking a week or two, not continuously doing the discussion. Today you might perhaps not that much recall where we left off. If you can go back to the text, so I can show you. We left up at Vinodana Pahatapa. That means there are certain asavas, I would say the higher version of akusala, that we need to destroy in the sense of understanding what those thoughts are, especially calm thoughts, vihimsa thoughts, and then vihimsa thoughts, and then vyapada thoughts. Calm thoughts mean thoughts of sensuality. Vihimsa thoughts mean thoughts of harassing other people, and vyapada thoughts mean thoughts of destroying other people. So these thoughts need to be destroyed in the first place. So this is the second method, actually. Sorry, the sixth method. And today we'll be discussing the seventh method, bhavana, pahatapa, which means there are certain akusalas that we need to, I would say, overcome by practicing 7 bodhjangas. A very good evening from Manila, Philippines. Good to see you be back. And we will be going to the text here. I think before we go to the text, let me tell you something. Now in this sutta, as you understand, that we discuss that the Buddha's way of looking at akusalas in the form of asava is not one form. That means there are certain akusalas that need to be dealt differently. Now the idea that the meditation, kind of a one meditation, works for every akusala is something that we have to understand in the proper way. Of course, ultimately it comes down to a meditation. It's true, but the initial ways of handling akusalas could be manifold, could not be one way. That means you might learn some sort of meditative things, and you might go and take a sit, and you might do your own meditation. Thereby you might think that, okay, this is the way how I'm going to overcome my akusalas. But the Buddha says, not even the meditation, I mean, kind of a solid meditation, but also there are certain other ways that you need to practice in order to approach the overcoming of akusalas, asavas in the higher level. Right? Because we are dealing with akusalas in our daily life. It is not just that we sit down and then we observe our akusalas, certain akusalas, how they are arising, how they are staying, how they are going away, depending on what we're going to do. So we need to understand that this sutta, SABBASAVA Sutta, directly and clearly, explicitly tells us that we have to work with akusalas differently. Certain akusalas differently. And today we are learning that meditation is going to work for a bunch of akusalas. Definitely as one of the methods. It is not only the one method that we are learning to practice. What is the meditation over here? What is the meditation that the Buddha teaches us as a 7 method? Is it samatha, vipassana, or anapanasati, or 4 postures, or 32 body parts, or chittanupassana, or dhammanupassana? What is it? What is the meditation, the bhavana, the Pali word bhavana, that the Buddha is asking us to practice? None of them. But they are inclusive at different levels. The Buddha says the meditation that is applicable to the 7th method is the practice of 7 bodhjangas. What is it? The 7 bodhjangas. And I wanted to say one more thing, that today I haven't been able to make the note, but I'll be making the note, so don't worry. You'll be getting the note probably somewhere this week. So 7 Bojjhangas. 7 Bojjhangas need to be practiced. So first of all, there is another misconception in regard to the 7 Bojjhangas. Especially you know these 7 Bojjhangas, right? How do you know these Bojjhangas? And probably you may know these Bojjhangas in the form of chanting. Where have you learned Bojjhangas in the chanting? Can you remember? You learn Bojjhangas, 7 Bojjhangas in 3 sutras, 3 parittas. What are they? Maha Thera Bojjhanga Sutta, Maha Thera Bojjhanga Sutta, Maha Choon Thera Bojjhanga Sutta. In each of these suttas, you can see that there are Bojjhangas that are being discussed by either by the Buddha or either by an Arahant. Then there comes the misunderstanding. The misunderstanding is, how come a sutta that was given to an Arahant or to the Buddha, thereby they were able to get back to normal from their illnesses, is going to work for us? This is a misunderstanding. Yes, definitely they have already been enlightened. They have become enlightened individuals. So they understand Bojjhangas. They can recall Bojjhangas. But now here, the Buddha says that one of the ways of overcoming our asavas, higher form of our kusala, is to practice Bojjhangas. That means these Bojjhangas are common to even to unenlightened people. They are not even common to enlightened. They are common to unenlightened. So their bhavana, their kind of meditation should revolve around, should focus on the 7 Bojjhangas. This is the first misconception that I wanted to dispel. That means Bojjhangas are not only specific to Arahants, Pacceka Buddhas and Sambuddhas, and it is very common, is very, I would say, generic to all the unenlightened people. You know, they are supposed to practice this as one of the methods to overcome their akusalas. And the second thing that I wanted to mention at the beginning, before we go to the sutta steps, is that this is very important too. Now, the words that we know from different Bojjhangas, let's go and take a look, and then you will understand what they are. Like if you take one of these, this one, I would say, let's go to the text. Right. You go to the text over here, you can see Sati Bojjhanga, and then Dhamma Vichaya. Let's see, Virya Bojjhanga, Piti Bojjhanga. Then you can see Piti, and then where are the rest? You can see Passaddhi Bojjhanga, Samadhi Bojjhanga, Upekkha Bojjhanga. Right? Now, you see the Pali words like Dhamma Vichaya, Sati, Virya, Piti, Passaddhi, Samadhi, Upekkha. Right? Now, these words, I would say the qualities, the Dhamma qualities, they are not very strange to us. That means we have learned them elsewhere, right? Is Sati very strange to us? Is a new term to all of us? I don't think so. Sati is not a, Sati means, in your own words, you might say mindfulness, call it awareness. And let's take Virya, energy or effort. Is it a new term to all of you? I don't think so. You have heard this from many places. And what about Samadhi? It is also not a new term to all of us. We have learned, we have heard, we have studied quite a bit about this term too, this quality of the mind, good quality. Upekkha, There are new terms to us. We have learned this. How come? Then you might think, is there a difference between those individual qualities when they are associated with the bojjhanga, as the bojjhangas? Actually, there is a way to understand the difference. Now, say for instance, let's say sati. Someone practices sati, that means satipatthana. Someone might practice satipatthana, definitely they practice, all of you. But someone can practice satipatthanas in a way that person wants to have a clear mind, at the same time to have some peace, right? Not necessarily to, I would say, seek for the Nibbana in the first place. So also virya, energy or effort. Someone definitely may start from jhana, and then what will happen is that over the course of that jhana practice, this person might have virya, as you can see, vitakka, vichara, piti, sukha, ekagata, this virya also. Also piti in that analysis. Then that person might practice virya or piti in that context in a way only to develop jhanas, but there is no purpose of attaining nibbana. Piti is only practice. Piti is only experience, only to what you call understand jhanas, only to experience jhanas. So also samadhi. Samadhi means purpose of samatha meditation of many people. They might attain samadhi, but not just to attain nibbana, but just to be happy, just to be peaceful, as an objective of the jhanas, samatha bhava. Upekha, someone might practice upekha in a way how they practice for Brahma Viharas, metta, karuna, mudita, upekha. No, not necessarily containing or including, maintaining an idea of attaining nibbana. That is the difference between when someone practices these individual qualities and when someone practices these individual qualities with the purpose of attaining nibbana. Now, sati, virya, what you call sati, dhammavicaya, virya, piti, passaddhi, samadhi, upekha, these 7 bojjhangas become bojjhangas when someone practices these qualities with the purpose of attaining nibbana. But there are others who may practice these 7 without a purpose of attaining nibbana. Then they are not going to be bojjhanga. They are just the individual quality. All right, so these two have to be kept in mind before we go further. First thing is, bojjhangas are not just specific to arahants and Pacceka Buddhists and Sammasambuddhists. It's common to everybody. And then there's a difference between how people practice these qualities, I would say, sati, dhammavicaya, virya, piti, samadhi, upekha, without thinking that my practice may lead to nibbana or not to nibbana. That is the second thing to understand. Okay, with these two in mind, let's go to the sutta, especially to read the sutta text. Bhavana, bhavana. The Pali word bhavana, we have to discuss about this term. Now, in the Pali commentaries, especially in the new meditation styles, they use this term a lot. Bhavana, isn't it? Is this term new to all of you? I don't think so. Especially, I'm not going to mention about the names. If you were trying to learn some meditation styles from different teachers, different schools, different countries, you may have heard this word. It's been used by many styles, meditation styles, and then teachers. But the problem is the contents that they are using with the term of bhavana and what we see the contents about bhavana in this sutta, especially early Buddhist texts, seem to be different. Now, when you say bhavana, they might say samatha bhavana, vipassana bhavana, or vidassana bhavana. Samatha, vidassana. In early Buddhism, we don't see this difference. In early suttas, if you go to especially uh, uh, early suttas, I would say Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, Saccabhava Sutta, Maha Sutta, Satipatthana Sutta, Maha Satipatthana Sutta, you don't see the difference as Samatha Vipassana. Because Buddha did not divide his Samma Sati into Samatha Vipassana. He said, my meditation is Samma Sati, right mindfulness. But when you see the contents of Samma Sati, you would see a certain level of that meditation, that Samma Sati carries Samatha level. At the same time, at a certain level, you would see Vipassana style. That means Samatha Vipassana are different degrees of his Samma Sati. You can't separate them out. But later on, different traditions, they divided Samma Sati into, not Samma Sati, they say meditation, Buddhist meditation, into Samatha and Vipassana. Especially Pali commentaries as well, especially Visuddhimagga and all these books. So if you are somebody who are really trying to learn about the Buddha's true teachings, early suttas, because we believe that Digha Nikaya, Majjhima Nikaya, pretty much early suttas of the Buddha, then you need to understand that Samma Sati is Samma Sati. Samatha Vipassana are qualities of that meditation, Samma Sati. So that's something that you're going to practice separately, right? Nowadays, you can see that I practice Samatha, you practice Vipassana, and people are struggling between these two, and you don't have to, because this is not how the Buddha said. Yes, we do have a certain level of Samatha in that Samma Sati. We do have a certain level of Vipassana in that Samma Sati. Let's take it as Samma Sati, not as Samatha Vipassana. So, now, Bhavana, the word Bhavana should be exclusively used for the development of 7 Bodhidharmas, nothing else. This term Bhavana means to develop. Now, those Pali commentaries, they have different ways of saying. They say, what you call, Bhaveti Asevati, right? That means develop. That's true, in a way. That means we have to develop the 7 Bodhidharmas as much as we can. The more we develop 7 Bodhidharmas, the longer we are practicing 7 Bodhidharmas. I mean, our Samma Sati is also being developed. All right, so the Bhavana, the term Bhavana is exclusively for the development of the 7 Bodhidharmas. Now, when you say 7 Bodhidharmas, Samma Sati is just a part of it. Just only one part. It starts with Sati. Then have Dhamma Vichaya. Okay, we'll go back to the Sutta again. Now, the Pali word Bhavana is very exclusive for the, what you call, Samma Sati. Right, I'm trying to sort of make it a little large. Katame cha bhikkhave asava bhavana pahata. Monks, what are the, maybe how does someone overcome akusalas? I would say, now here the word is asava, that means a higher version of akusalas. Akusalas, asavas with the meditation. Bhavana, I would say the proper is development, I would say. Ita bhikkhave bhikkhu patisankha, this word is very important. Yoniso, patisankha yoniso. Now let me ask some of you, probably all of you. I have repeatedly explained these 2 words when I was there. What does patisankha mean? What does yoniso? Patisankha. What does patisankha mean? Do consideration. Means that several things in our life, everything needs certain consideration, certain regard, certain attention in a certain way. So we need to give the due consideration for the particular activity. We call it patisankha. Yoniso. Yoniso means wise attention, right? I think I have repeatedly explained this thing. Wise attention. Wise attention means, what does it mean? Today I can hear even a small noise because of the sensitivity of the mic today. Yes, you can talk. What does wise attention mean? The ability to trace any experience down to the ability to, I would say, trace any experience down to its origin, down to its roots. We are trying to develop an ability to trace whatever sensory experience to its or to their roots, to their origins. Now, in a very common layman example, let's say somebody blame me, right? Maybe today evening somebody blame me or criticize me. Simple example. And then when somebody does something like that to all of us, the immediate thing is that we are trying to defend us. We are trying to defend our character. It's wrong. You are wrong. That's not true. But time to time, it is important for us to go back to the root of the matter. For example, we are thinking, okay, few minutes ago, I was blamed by this person, but now I'm looking at it. So the person who was blamed was my previous self, and it was not any longer existing. And I'm a new person at this point. So I'm trying to look at the origin of that particular. Even you can go back to the contents. Even you can look at it as a in the broader picture of that particular. Even the good thing, even the bad thing, even good thing, favorable, unfavorable thing. So wise attention helps us to always go back to the roots of any matter. Because we normally decide, we normally make decisions, we normally validate us just from the outside of that matter, not from its roots. I think the example I gave to you was an iceberg, right? You only see the tip of the iceberg. You don't see the full iceberg. The tip is above the sea level and the full iceberg is below the sea level. Most of the problems are like that. The way how we try to consider, the way how we going to solve most of the problems are like we only look at the tip of the iceberg and trying to make a decision. That is not yoniso manasika. That is ayoniso manasika. Unwise reflection, unwise attention. So if we can look at the bigger picture of that any event, then we are becoming wiser. Now here, patisanka with due consideration, at the same time with wise attention. What is going to happen? Patisanka is one yoniso. With due consideration and wise attention, you are going to practice sati sambojjhanga. It's not just bojjhanga, sambojjhanga. Sambojjhanga means some. What does some mean? It's not just bojjhanga. Now you might say, today we are going to the bojjhanga chanting. It's not bojjhanga chanting, sambojjhanga chanting. Bojjhanga are full, sambojjhanga. Sambojjhanga means full. Sam means full, overall. That means when somebody practices a bojjhanga, that person is going to cultivate that particular quality of the mind fully. So if it is sati, going to practice sati completely in its entirety. It's not like a retreat. Today, tomorrow you practice sati and then you go home, your whole sati is broken apart. It's not that kind of a sati practice. That sati means the sati practice has to be practiced at all times. Now you might be surprised, how to practice sati at my home? That is why I always say this sati practice is not the on-cushion meditation. So part of the sati practice is on cushion, but most of the sati practice is off the cushion. Right? So time to time, it's good to go for a retreat just to refreshen us, just to be more familiar with the sati practice, sati teachings. But the real sati practice is very relevant when we are off the cushion. Off the cushion means we are always off the cushion. We are not going to sit down all the time. Our real problems, real matters, happiness, unhappiness, whatever things are, they are coming to us when we are off the cushion. So then, how does someone practice sati to a level of a sambojjhanga? As a maybe in your own word, a bojjhanga. A person who is trying to bring sati to all his whatever the activities in his or her life is going to make this happen. Is going to make sati as a bojjhanga. Otherwise, his or her sati is only a 2-day, 3-day, 1 week, 1-day meditation retreat. That practice is very provisional. But when somebody is trying to bring sati to his or her own activities, whatever activity, if it is driving, focusing on the road, understanding my driving. Am I a good driver? Am I really driving? When I'm eating, am I really eating? Or am I paying attention to other things? When I'm with my family members, am I really giving them attention, my attention to them? Big issues in family households, right? And people are not giving enough attention to the loved ones. Right? That's also mindfulness. You are with them, you are focusing on. There are many, many areas of your life. If you look at Satipatthana Sutta, you can find out what are the activities that you can bring this sati to all the activities. But the problem is people call some activities are not worthy enough to practice mindfulness, Satipatthana. So every activity deserves Satipatthana. Every activity. You can't actually say that this activity does not need sati. Because if you look at your mistakes in your life, if you look at your failures in your life, if you look at where you screwed up, blundered, you might see that if I could have had a pinch of mindfulness at that point, I would have been better. I would have been, felt less remorse, less regret. That means every activity that we are involved with deserves sati. So going back to sati bojjhanga. Now, when you understand sati bojjhanga, it is not just a mere sati. It is the complete, entire practice of sati, which helps you to bring you to Nibbana one. That is sati sambojjhanga. We can discuss many things, but I'm not going to discuss all that. We don't have time to talk about all that. But just to understand, if somebody practices sati as a standalone, as a separate 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, new moon, full moon, maybe only couple hours meditation, that is not going to be a sati sambojjhanga. It's going to be just a sati practice. That's not going to work. That might work for you better than you were before, but in order for you to go to that sati sambojjhanga, you need to bring sati to all activities. Now, just to spice up this idea, let me show you a couple of things from the Bojjhanga Suttas, which you already know. You will perhaps understand what it is. Right? Okay, so here I'm going to show you Maha Thera Bojjhanga. In this, I don't want to talk about the background story. You can go to the place where 7 Bojjhangas are being discussed. You know what they are. You can see here, Sati Sambojjhango o Kassapa, Maya Sammadakkanto, Bhavito, Bahulikato, Abhinyaya Sambodhaya Nibbana Sangha. I'm not bothered about these terms actually. These are actually very clear. When somebody practices any bojjhanga, sambojjhanga, you would see it would lead you to higher knowledges. It would lead you to full enlightenment. It would lead you to enlightenment. They are pretty specific and it's clear. But see these Pali words. Sati sambojjhango vasmaya sammadakkato, that he well expounded, but bhavito bahulikato. You can see here, cultivated, cultivated and fully developed by me. Cultivated and fully developed. Not developed, fully developed. Bhavita bahuli kata. That means in order for sati to reach to Bojjanga, Sambojjanga, we must be able to practice it fully. How to practice sati as a full practice? We must be able to bring sati to all our activity. Only one part of this bhavana. Okay? Now, not even that. Sabbasava Sutta says something very interesting. What is it? Let's go see. Patisankayutsu sati sambojjanga bhaveti viveka nissitam viraga nissitam nirodha nissitam vossagga parinam. That means every bojjanga which we need to practice as a cultivation needs to be practiced according to viveka, viraga, nirodha, vossagga parinam. Viveka. What does viveka mean? Viveka. What is the English term of viveka? The translation, you might say, seclusion, isolation. So do we have to isolate to practice these Dhamma things? What do you think? Do we have to isolate us to practice some Dhamma? What does seclusion mean in Buddha? Now, a lot of people misunderstand. This means I have to go to the forest, I have to isolate myself, and then only, yes, sometimes we do need to sort of have our own me time. But what does viveka means? Do we have to go to that kind of a place? Not necessarily. We may go, definitely we would like to go time to time. But here, viveka means that we need to make time for us. When we practice sati, whatever the bojjangas, we need to make time for these bojjangas. Right? Now in your life, you have lots of time for different things, right? Why is it? Why do you have lots of time for whatever good or bad things? Huh? Why do you have time for them? Because you have made time for those activities, isn't it? Right? You have made time for that. Let's say if you are somebody who is having a hobby, who is enjoying certain things in your life, so you have made time. So in order for us to practice some bojjangas, whatever the bojjanga, we need to bring some priority for our sati practice. That is what we call as viveka. We need viveka. Yeah, we should bring more time for that. When we say we have to prioritize, we have to make time for that, it doesn't mean that you have to take a lot of time off. That means whenever you are doing whatever the activities you are involved with, you are trying to bring mindfulness, sati, onto that particular activity. Let's say you are sweeping the floor, you are mopping the floor, you are cleaning the house, you are trying to talk to somebody. There are activities that you cannot avoid, but you are bringing mindfulness to that each activity, so that you make time for mindfulness in that activity, making time for it. That is viveka. Now you might think, no, I'm not going to see anybody. I want to avoid everybody. I want to be kind of introvert. I want to escape from the society, social life or family life. And you want to be a sannyasi, a tapasa sannyasi in Himalayas, India. Right? It's not our viveka here. Viveka here means that you are making time for that particular state of Dhamma activity so that you can bring it in anytime, wherever you are, whatever you are doing with, you can bring. So viveka is one thing. So whenever you want to practice sati sambojjanga, you must bring viveka up, make time for it. Then, not even that, viraga nissitam, viraga. Viraga means, what does viraga mean? Raga means sensuality, you could say lust. So when we want to practice this any bojjanga, in here sati sambojjanga, we need to bring some dispassion, because we are always struggling, we are always with sensuality. Why don't we take some time off? Time to time. I don't say you need to do all the time. Time to time, just to understand the opposite side of the other shore of your sensuality. Right? That also will really help you to practice any bojjhanga. Right? Time to time, we are trying to lower our sensuality. Time to time. It doesn't mean that you must avoid all sensual activity. You won't be able to do it as lay people. You must not do too, just to protect your lay life. But time to time, you are trying to see whether any lowering of sensuality is possible or not. So that means when you have less passion, maybe I would say less sensuality in this passion, that also helps you to practice sati, bojjhanga over here. Not even that. Then nirodha. Nirodha means cessation. Now some people wrongly misunderstand it. They misunderstand this nirodha. How do they misunderstand? They might think, how do I understand nirodha? I have to be an arahant to understand it, isn't it? But how many cessations are happening in our life, in our daily life? If you look at today, I had a karma thought, a very bad, maybe I had an angry thought. But when I practice metta, maybe because I had practiced metta, that angry thought was ceased. It turned to the cessation. That angry thought turned to cessation. Today, I had kind of a, an irritative thought, an irritation, a mild irritation about something. But when I looked at how it arose, how it stayed, then I understood it was ceased because of my practice. That means there are lots of cessations happening in daily life. I always ask this from some people. We are all looking forward to attaining Nibbana. But how many Nibbanic moments we've been experiencing differently? Not that higher Nibbana, right? But a sort of Nibbana, kind of extinguishment of fires of raga, dosa happening in our daily life. Remember, when Kisa Gautami saw Prince Siddhartha, she said to Prince Siddhartha, a mother who owns you, a mother who gave birth to you is extinguished, already came to Nibbana. A father who brought you up, or maybe your father who brought you up, must have come to Nibbana. A wife who is married to you should have come to extinguishment, Nibbana. Nibbutta. Nibbutta, Nibbutta, Nibbutta. That means the idea is that the higher level of Nibbana and then the Nibbana in a lay life in a different way. These are two things to understand. In the same way, you understand cessation. You don't have to attain Nibbana to understand cessation, but you will see how many thoughts are being ceased in a day during your daily life, right? So you have to bring that understanding. Cessation happens all the time in my daily life. I have to bring that understanding to practice sati sambodha. Right? This is called nirodha. Now here we are using three things already. Viveka, making time for us to practice that particular bojjhanga. Here's sati. Viraga, making some, at the same time, we are trying to bring, a reduction to our sensuality. And nirodha means we are trying to see the cessation of our. Then Vosagga Parinam. Vosagga means letting go. I would say renunciation. That means Nibbana. That means we must practice any bojjhanga to attain Nibbana. This is the only purpose. So when someone practices sati, according to these four, making time we call viveka, then bringing a lot of dispassion, we call it viraga, and then trying to understand a lot of cessation times, cessation phenomena, cessation moments of our thoughts, during our daily life. This is called, what you call, Nirodha. And now, Osaka Parinam, trying to bring whatever my good practice, especially seven qualities of the seven Bojjhangas, having the strong purpose of attaining Nibbana. These four things must be brought when you practice any Bojjhangas. Now we will go to the rest of the Bojjhangas too. Okay, same thing applies to all the other Bojjhangas. You can see Dhamma Vichay. Dhamma Vichay Bojjhanga. Let me ask you, what does Dhamma Vichay mean? Dhamma Vichay? Now, some people might think Dhamma Vichay means I have to search, investigate more Dhamma, Sutta by Sutta. Isn't it? Is it Dhamma Vichay? What is Dhamma Vichay? It translates, Vichay means investigation, Dhamma means Dhamma, investigation of Dhamma. Isn't it? What does Dhamma Vichay mean? Dhamma Vichay means trying to investigate the Four Noble Truths. This is what was given in the suttas. The Dhamma means Four Noble Truths. Trying to understand the Four Noble Truths with our daily experiences. Now, how we are going to understand Four Noble Truths in our in normal understanding? You are going to read Sutta by Sutta, right? The more you learn Dhamma, the better you are with Dhamma Vichay, isn't it? That is what many people think, right? That is not Dhamma Vichay. Dhamma Vichay means that we are, on one side, we are trying to understand the Four Noble Truths. On the other side, on the other hand, we are trying to bring in our personal experiences into the Four Noble Truths. I mean, bringing Four Noble Truths to our personal experiences. Right? Let's say somebody you really loved passed away last month. Right? At that point, what could we do here with Dhamma Vichay? Very good experience. And we are going to bring in the Four Noble Truths into that experience, that grief experience, that grief management, the sorrow, lamentation, the sadness, what you call one of the dosas. So bringing Four Noble Truths into our daily experience, bringing Four Noble Truths into our all mental phenomena. That is Dhamma Vichay. It is not that you read one by one sutta by one sutta. You will be bombarded with a lot of information only, which might not work. That's why even if you want to study some suttas, consult a good teacher. Otherwise, just reading it as a mere knowledge might not work for you. It is done by anybody. So, Dhamma Vichay means trying to bring Four Noble Truths. And first, you have to understand them, definitely. Otherwise, you can't bring them to your personal experience. Understanding the Four Noble Truths and then bringing them onto your personal experience. What is dukkha? How does it arise? What is the cessation? And how does that cessation happen as a path, right? That is Dhamma Vichay. Even this Dhamma Vichay Bojjhanga, some Bojjhanga, must be practiced with Viveka, Viraga, Nirodha, Osaka Parinam. That means you have to make time for doing that. You have to have less, I would say, you have to sometimes lower your passion, sensuality, time, and you have to, what you call, see the cessation that is happening in your daily life. Actually, if we try to observe the cessation that is happening from the morning till the night, we can see that. We can see a lot of things. And then trying to understand that these qualities should bring to the level of Nibbana. Not just to stay and not just to end up at a level that is that's called Osaka Parinam. All right, let's keep going from here. Dhamma Vichay. Then we are going to see the third Bojjhanga, which we understand by what is it? Sati Dhamma Vichay Viriya. Is it called Viriya Bojjhanga? Viri. Now, in many suttas, Buddha says one of the biggest issues to many monks and nuns, in particular, all these suttas are given to them, is that not having a good understanding about the virya. Sometimes some monastics, even in your case, they are having lot of virya, which is also a problem. What will happen to you if you have a lot of virya, a lot of effort? Even for this Dhamma thing, lots of virya. Then you are not able to practice meditation. Why is it? When you have lots of virya, lots of effort, then you are restless. Your mind is restless. You can't focus your mind. Right? At the same time, if you have less virya, very, very less virya, then you have lots of tina and midda, sloth and thought. This is why in one sutta, we call it Agni Sutta, the Buddha says this particular interesting thing. Probably I'm going to show you. Sati definitely helps us to balance our spiritual qualities, as you can see here. Now, Dhammavichaya, Virya, Piti, these bojjhangas must be used when you experience tina and midda. Now, tina and midda arise when you have less, when you have less effort to practice Dhamma. Normally, Dhammavichaya, Virya, Piti must be earned, must be practiced. Because specifically, when you understand you don't have enough effort to start off to maintain your practice. But if you look at the bottom, see the bottom, the three bojjhanga factors, Passati, Samadhi, Upekkha. Now, Passati, Samadhi, Upekkha never arise when you have less virya. Right? They arise as a successful transition of your bojjhanga practice, but keep in mind they are very helpful for you to lower uddhacca kukkhucca, to be used when experiencing restlessness and boredom. The sutta is Samyutta Nikaya 4653, which I will be going to add onto the notes. Right? That means when you learn Dhamma, be careful about one very important thing. That means virya, effort or energy. Sometimes you may have no virya at all. You may be very lazy. That means you have sloth and thought. Sometimes you have lots of virya. Lots of virya. This is also a problem. I have to do this, I have to practice this. Sometimes, for example, there may be someone who has a certain way of starting of the day. In the morning, this person wakes up and thinking, today I had to do my puja. Right? But for whatever the reason, this person oversleeps. At the same time, this person now cannot catch up with the puja, has to go to another, it's something, maybe run an errand in the morning. Now this person is not happy about the day. Why? He or she could not do the puja. It's okay. It can happen to anybody, right? You don't have to worry about if you miss something like that. Because in Buddhism, we don't have something called, we have to do this every morning. We try to do, in case we are not able to do. So, try to understand that whenever we are engaging with any Dhamma activity, be that a meditation, puja, chanting, maybe dana, sometimes we may not be able to catch up with the time. Do it. That's okay. And when you do them, try to keep a balance of your virya, energy. Don't try to be too excited. Don't try to, lose any interest. Keep the interest, but don't develop lots of energy on it. You have to develop energy, but to a certain mediocre balance level. Don't go over. Once you go over, you will go to uddhacca. No problem. As you can see here, you saw already that uddhacca kukkhucca rise. When Uddhacca Puja arises, then you must practice, you have to more focus on Passaddhi Samadhi Upekka. But anyways, the idea is that Viriya is a very important thing. This is a problematic thing to many people because most people, they go through, certain problems with their Viriya energy. That means they have been doing very well. But sometimes, maybe time to time, they are going to run out of their energy for different reasons, right? So, Viriya has to be maintained, Viriya Bodhjanga. So, how can you maintain Viriya? You have to always keep your Viriya energy, effort at a moderate level. Don't go too low or too high. Even Viriya Sambodhjanga must be practiced with Viveka, Viraga, Nirodha, Mossaka Parana. Now we come down to Piti. Piti means joy. Joy. In many suttas, Buddha says that a big issue for a monk, for a Buddhist follower to attain Nibbana is the joy that is experienced by the meditator during the jhana process. Why is it? Now, we all normally start our meditation practices with jhanas, right? Isn't it? We practice jhanas. How do we practice jhanas? We are trying to practice anapanasati. Thereby, we are trying to overcome pancha nivarana, 5 hindrances, kamacchanda, vyapada, dhinamidda, uddhacca, puja, vicikicchas. Thereby, we are attaining certain jhana stages, first jhana, second, third, fourth. Now, Buddha says, for most people who have experienced the piti, joy out of the jhana, is having a big impediment to go to Nibbana. That impediment, that hindrance, another new hindrance, it's not the hindrance itself. The new hindrance is that when they like the joy from the jhana, they don't think about Nibbana. They end up with that jhana. They end up with that particular piti practice. Here, the Buddha asks us to keep the piti not without falling prey to the jhana practice. So we have to keep our piti till we attain further higher levels of our spiritual practice. Don't just slow down at the same time, end up with a jhanic piti. Thereby you are trying to bring piti further. Right? So that the jhana piti shouldn't be something that should stop you from going further. So try to practice, try to experience the piti, but do not end up with that level of jhanic piti. Then passaddhi. Passaddhi means, what does passaddhi mean? You can see the translation over here is serenity. But what does passaddhi really mean? Passaddhi means a composure. But what kind of composure is this? What kind of serenity is this? There are 2 types of passaddhi: kaya passaddhi, chitta passaddhi. That means we should be able to sort of keep us into composure. Now, when somebody is experiencing sati, dhammavichaya, virya, piti, these bojjhanga, sambojjhanga factors, there is definitely a certain serenity arises. But that serenity should go in 2 ways. One is kaya passaddhi, the other one is chitta passaddhi. Kaya passaddhi here means kaya and chitta means chitta, you can see about the mind. Kaya means the body. But in Abhidhamma, they have a different way of explaining chitta and cetasika. But here we understand we have to have a composure, let us say, a serenity in terms of our mental structures and bodily structures. That happens when you practice passaddhi along with the 4 requirements. What are they? You can see here, Viveka, Viraga, Nirodha, Osaka. Now, you might perhaps see, is it a gradual process? Yes, I mean, you may need to start with the first one. Maybe then at the same time, while continuing with the first one, you are practicing the second, then keeping the first two and then the third, keeping the first three, then the fourth. You are gradually developing these 7 bojjhangas. Then we come down to Samadhi. Samadhi means, what does Samadhi means? Samadhi means, this has 2 interpretations. One is Samadhi in terms of the Hindu practice. The other one is the Samadhi practice in Buddhism. What is the Samadhi practice in Hinduism? Jhanas. It's a jhanas. That means starting from first, second, third, fourth jhanas. What is the purpose of Hindu jhanas? Why do Hindu people practice jhana in Hinduism? They practice jhanas to have a happy mind, bliss. Do they have a purpose of practicing jhanas to attain Nibbana? No. So the Buddha says, if somebody practices jhanas just to feel the bliss, just to have the happy mind, that is called Miccha Samadhi, wrong concentration. But if somebody practices jhanas to attain Nibbana, that is called Samma Samadhi, right? Concentration. So we have to understand these 2 separately. Now here Samadhi means that Buddhist practice. On another note, you may have learned Samadhi from 3 disciplines: Sila, Samadhi, Panya. Right? You may have heard that. What is Sila, Samadhi, Panya in that context? Sila, Samadhi, Panya means 3 categories for the Noble Eightfold Path. Say, Samadhi, Sammasankappa, right view and right intention or thought falls on to the Panya, wisdom. Then Samma Vacha, right speech, Samma Kammanta, right living, right action, and Samma Ajiva, right living, fall onto what we call Sila part, morality part. Then Samma Vayama, Samma Sati, Samma Samadhi fall into Samadhi part, concentration. That means I have repeatedly told you that our practice starts not with the Sila in the first place. Our Dhamma journey should start with, where should we start with? Should we start with Sila, Samadhi or Panya? How to start with our Dhamma journey? The Sila, some level of Panya. Because if we don't know why we practice these certain bojjhangas, certain what you call path factors, then we are not able to understand why we are doing that. Even Sila. We have to start our Dhamma journey with some level of, some basic level of Panya, wisdom. Then Sila. Then Samadhi. Then Panya. Higher level of Panya. Now Samadhi, as you can see, it is a practice of Samma Vayama, Samma Sati and Samma Samadhi. Now, when it comes to Samadhi Sambojjhanga, you understand it is your practice of Samma Vayama, Samma Sati, Samma Samadhi. Okay? That means my Samadhi, whatever the Samadhi I am making, should focus on attaining Nibbana, not just to be happy, like a jhana practice, not just a normal samatha meditation practice. I have to focus, I'm going to attain jhanas, but my main focus is to end up with Nibbana one. That is where you are going to focus on right concentration, Samma Samadhi. It is the Samadhi that is being discussed over here. Finally, Upekha. Upekha. What does upekha mean? Anybody? We have many upekhas in Buddhism. One upekha, what is the famous upekha? Very famous one. Brahma Vihara upekha, right? We call it Brahma Vihara upekha, metta, karuna, mudita, upekha. That means being able to stay balanced in whatever our perspective, seeing, talking, whatever thing. Staying balanced. Which is the hardest thing to many people, right? In this world. Then according to our understanding, metta is the starting point. Karuna is more difficult than metta. One step further. Then mudita is more difficult than metta karuna, right? Now, in simple layman English, I would say practicing metta is easier than practicing karuna. In order for you to practice compassion, you have to understand what is going on. You have to put you in their shoes. But for practicing metta, you can do without names, without people. Just practice metta. But karuna, you have to understand the pain of that person. Empathy and compassion. Now, mudita is more difficult than metta and karuna. Why? When people who we know are going to be really doing good, even who we don't know who doing good, better than us, we should be able to wholeheartedly feel good for them, accept their achievement. It is more difficult than metta and karuna. Right? People might shake hands, people might say congratulations, but in their deep heart, are they really accepting the fact that they are becoming successful? And then upekha is what you call equanimity, being able to balance out perspective, everything is the hardest, more difficult than metta, karuna, mudita. Now, one context of upekha is this Brahma Vihara upekha. The upekha context of Brahma Vihara. Then another upekha is sankhara upekha. What is it? Sankhara upekha. That means this is one of the highest knowledges the Buddha had. Sankhara upekha jnana. One of the 73 jnanas. But I would say sankhara means whatever the things that are happening in the world, especially mundane things. The Buddha, or even us, we should be able to bring upekha to understand. Now, when you talk to somebody, about politics, about religions, about society, about the world, most people's perspectives are very diluted, one-sided, right? Because they are not able to see everything in moderation. Whatever they prefer, whatever they like, they have a very hard perspective on. So sankhara upekha means whatever the things are going around the world, but we are able to look at them with a balanced mind. We are not bothered by anybody. We are not bothered by any person, but rather we are trying to shapen our understanding very balanced. We try to see the bad as bad, good as good, but our understanding is we are not trying to pollute our perspective. We are trying to bring in lots of right view, samadhi. That is sankhara upekha. Now here, going back to upekha, upekha has two perspectives, as I said. One is Brahma Vihara, the other one is sankhara upekha. So, when somebody is planning to practice upekha as a mental quality in order to attain nibbana, this person must focus on these two aspects, as a Brahma Vihara upekha, as a sankhara upekha. Okay. I think the hardest thing to many people is to stay balanced. When anything happens in their life, how to stay balanced, not to be veered off, not to be preference, not to take sides, right? You take, for instance, in your life, when something happens, are you taking sides of people? Are you taking different areas? Are you giving preference to certain things? Then you are losing on upekha. right? So upekha means trying to understand the reality at the same time, not becoming a part of one side, staying balanced. There are 8 things that are happening to us in our life. Labha, alabha, ayasayasa, ninda, prasansa, sukha, dukkha. 8 worldly conditions. Sometimes we have profits, sometimes we call gains, sometimes we have losses, sometimes we have what we call compliments, sometimes we have blames from other people, what we call criticism, a lot of maybe constructive criticism, maybe not constructive ones too. Sometimes we are famed, sometimes we are defamed, sometimes we feel happy, sometimes we feel unhappy. Doesn't matter. Regardless of what is happening to me, to you, anytime in your life, tomorrow, today, day after, if you can stay balanced whenever all these 8 are happening to you, you have picked up. But if you think that you are kind of shaken, then you have to work on your upekha. So that upekha is what we understand over here as a bodhja. So practice upekha all along, all day long, all night long. That is how you're going to bring upekha as a, what you call, bodhja. All right. In order to practice that upekha, you also need viveka, viraga, nirodha, vosakapa. For the last time, I'm explaining viveka means making time for that particular bodhjanga. Viraga means trying to reduce some sensuality to practice that bodhjanga. Trying to understand the cessation of your thoughts about upekha, that particular bodhjanga at different times on the day, and trying to always think that these practices are being practiced by me in order to attain Nibbana. That is my sole purpose. All right. This is how someone practices 7 bodhjangas as the last method of overcoming asavas. Bhavana means 7 bodhjangas. Now, we are going to the last segment here. Yang hissa bhikkhave abhavayato upajjayu asava vigata parila. Bhavayato evansate asava vigata parilaha nahum. Very interesting. Now, when someone who is practicing these 7 with viveka, viraga, nirodha, vosakparina, then that person minimizes any akusalas, any asavas that are arising to somebody who does not practices these 7 bodhjangas. This person minimizes because this person practices these 7 bodhjangas the time. The sutta uses 2 words. I think I already explained that: vighata and parila. Vighata means annoying. Parilaha means burning. Actually, asavas are very burning, right? Very annoying, isn't it? When some akusalas come to us, let's say you are very angry about someone who you really like, it's very burning inside. You don't like that feeling, but you have no choice of not maintaining. So, when you practice 7 bodhjangas, you don't have to deal with that annoyance. Going beyond that, actually. It's not burning anymore, not annoying anymore. So, for a person who practices 7 bodhjangas with viveka, viraga, nirodha, vosaka parinama, this person minimizes or probably going to abandon any burning or annoying asavas that are coming to that person compared to somebody who does not practices 7 bodhjangas. Further to that, ime bucchanti bhikkave asava bhavana. These are the 7 bodhjangas that must be practiced as a 7 method in terms of asavas. Okay, this is the last paragraph of the sutta. We are going to look at it today. Yatoko bhikkave bhikkhuno ye asava dasana pahatabbaha. That means when somebody practices these 7 methods. What is the first method? Dasana. Dasana means, what does dasana mean, dumb folks? Dasana, seeing. Then, sangvara, guarding your sense. These are methods to overcome your sense. And then Patisevana, wise use of needs. Adivasana, tolerance. Parivajana, that means, what does parivajana means? Abandon. Tolerating and then avoiding. Parivajana means avoid. Vinodana, destroy. Then bhavana means developing. When somebody practices these 7 methods, in terms of asavas, what will happen? You can see Sabba Sangvara, Sangyuto Vihara. That means definitely there is the full taming of the senses. At the same time, Achanti Tanha. That person is able to, as you can see over here, severe, uproot the craving. At the same time, Vivattai Sangyojana. That means going to throw off the fetters, 10 fetters, and Samma Manabi Samaya. Very importantly, is able to cut through the conceit, man, and Antamakasi Dukkhasa. That means has made the way out of the dukkha. Actually, next day, when we are going to do our next sutta discussion, I'm going to have a review of these 7. I don't think we have time to review today, but today I was primarily thinking to finish the 7 method. So it's about, so let's don't think about the whole sutta today, but just to give some thoughts about the 7th method, last one. It's about the bhavana. Bhavana means developing 7 bojjhangas so that you can minimize, you can what you call lower lots of asaras, high version of asaras. All right. So leaving a review of the full sutta for the next Monday, now we can go for a Q&A. If you have any questions, please raise. You can come forward to this mic over here and then ask the question about today.
I came across something, I don't remember the name of the sutta, but under the 4 mindfulness of meditation, there was a reference to the 3 things about thinking, speech, verbal, and act. For example, when we do, there's the part about the physical observation of body. That is there was a mention about placing the mind and connecting to it, and it refers to training for verbal. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. In the 4 mindfulness, there was a mention, it links to training for verbal speech and thinking, thinking, speaking, and acting. And it says that placing the mind and connecting to it. Do you understand what I'm saying? And it refers to verbal. So I don't understand how that connects to verbal when we connect the mind to the breath.
I think I did not hear the first part. Can you make a little summarize the whole question?
There was something I read about for mindfulness meditation.
Satipatthanas, okay.
So, for example, when you're doing breathing meditation,
okay.
So, breathing is an aspect of the body, right?
Okay.
And then the second part is placing the mind on it and connecting to it, which refers to the aspect of verbal. So I don't understand how connecting the mind to the breath can relate to verbal. Do you recall?
Okay. So how does, what you are asking is, how does Anapanasati connect to the mind? Isn't it?
No, connecting the mind to the breath, that is the breathing in, breathing out, right?
Connecting mind to the breath.
And then we say that I am breathing in my breath, my in-breath is long, my out-breath is short, right?
Okay.
So that part, I believe, is referred to the verbal thing, but I don't understand why it is called verbal.
Okay. So you are asking, how does the mind connect to the Anapanasati?
No, the verbal aspect of it.
Verbal aspect. Okay. So in the suttas, it is explained that our words come from vitakka vichara. Our speech arises from vitakka vichara. Vitakka vichara means two functions of the mind. So, in order for us to talk, mind should be definitely supportive. Mind should be definitely conditional to the speech. So that's how we're going to look at. But I take Anapanasati part, breath and mind differently, because that is what the Buddha says. He says that our main purpose of the Satipatthana, especially Anapanasati, is to refine our breath. That means you are starting your Satipatthanas with Kayanupasana. In that Kayanupasana, what you are doing is that you are trying to watch your body to become aware about yourself. But if you ask how does mind or breath connects to the speech, there's no argument about it from the Buddhist text. It says that our speech arises from two mind functions, vitakka and vichara. We call them as vachi sankara. Vachi sankara. All right. Any other questions about today? Yes.
Good evening, Bhante. The Satta Bojjhanga normally are recited. The Satta Bojjhanga recited to Venerable Moggallana, Chunda, and Sariputta when they were sick. So it means that then people will use this chanting when they come across people who are fall sick. To me, I think we cannot simply chant this Satta Bojjhanga to people who are sick if the sick people does not understand or practice the Satta Bojjhanga. May I have your thought on this? Thank you, Bhante.
This is what I dispelled at the beginning of this sutta discussion, isn't it? I said at the beginning that there is a widespread misconception that Bojjhangas are only specific to the Arahants and onwards. Right? But this SABBASAVA Sutta says that one of the methods of overcoming our own akusalas, that means who are having akusalas? Arahants having akusalas. Pacceka Buddhas or Samma Sambuddhas are dealing with their akusalas. No, they are not. They already finished their akusalas. So then why did the Buddha ask normal people to practice Bojjhangas? Now these, if you can look at Bhave Tabba, the seventh method, it says Bhavana here means 7 Bojjhangas. That means 7 Bojjhangas are not only exclusive to the Arahants. Arahant Maha Kassapa, Arahant Moggallana, whoever Arahants. But they also used it in a way that how they were able to recover from this. Right? But if you look at the suttas, there is another problem coming up. What is it? When Arahant Moggallana, Arahant Sariputta they were having illnesses, they could not reflect the 7 Bojjhangas by themselves, isn't it? Only when the Buddha went there, Buddha told them to reflect those 7. That means a special kind of thing. That means even Arahants cannot sometimes reflect upon Bojjhangas unless they were directed by somebody else as an Arahant. But as you said today in the question, as you asked, that 7 Bojjhangas are not common to, not specific to Arahants and so on. They are things that we have to develop. Now, they have developed already. We as unenlightened people must develop. So the more we develop, the more akusalas can be overcome. So that means, even if you take the Bojjhanga Sutta version, you might see, yes, they were given to Arahants, but even the Sabbasava Sutta, in Sabbasava Sutta, you understand these sevens must be practiced by unenlightened people like us to overcome certain asavas, akusalas. Now, in here, in the Sabbasava Sutta, it does not say that when you overcome when you practice seven bojjhangas, you are not going to get better in your illnesses. Because that is only specific for arahants. But here it says 7 bojjhangas can be practiced by anybody, not even arahants. Arahants' case is that they have already practiced, they already developed. They just think about it, they are practiced. But we have to develop. But if you ask another thing out of that about the 7 bojjhangas, in a way that monks go and chant 7 bojjhangas, 3 bojjhangas to sick people. Right? I don't know whether that is related to your question too. Can the patients overcome their issues, health issues, by listening to the bojjhangas? Right? This could be a part of your question. Yes or no? Because let's say when a monk goes to a house and then chants bojjhangas, the devotee is thinking, may these bojjhangas help me to overcome my illness. That is a strong wish. So she or he thinks that I can get over. Maybe he or she get a good mental boost in a way. At the same time, the compassion level of the monk who is chanting that, may this devotee get well. It can help, it may not help, you never know. But we cannot just throw it off thinking that's only for the arahants. So it can work. But on the other hand, bojjhangas must be practiced by all of us. So it's a common practice to all of us, given by the Buddha. Make sense? Okay. Any other questions? We can take one more question.
There is, I don't know under which one, but there is one part where sati is used to manage faith versus wisdom and concentration versus energy. Do you hear me, Bhante?
What is this? Sati?
Yeah, there is one area where sati is used to balance between faith and wisdom and energy and concentration. So in this in this 7 bojjhanga, does sati play the role, or is it that it doesn't, because there is a progression of development in the 7 factors, and it's the nirodha, viraga, those are the things that play the role to balance them out.
Okay, a very good question. Sati has couple roles playing in this 7 method. One role sati plays is that it balances all the 7 bojjhanga. Sati itself balances sati bojjhanga. Because sati means what you call a supervisor. Or I would say it is a supervisor. It is a vigilant factor. I always say this is like a supervisor in a hostage situation. Sati is a supervisor. Sati always supervises all the Dhamma matters, not even bojjhangas, every Dhamma matter. Second is that sati plays a subsequent role within the bojjhanga. Let's say someone practices Dhamma Vichay. That means learning more about the Four Noble Truths and how to bring Four Noble Truths onto life experiences. Now, what does sati can do? Sati helps us to leverage at the same time, lay out the fundamental plan of that issue, our life and the experiences. Sati helps us not to go to the extreme level of that particular good quality. Sati also helps us not to go lower than the particular level of that quality. So then sati has a subsequent role within that particular bojjhanga, within that particular dhamma. So then you asked about the 4 things, what we call viveka, viraga, nirodha, vasaka parinama. So these 4, they are individually as a set, supporting us to practice each bojjhanga. Sati is helping them also, but they are separately helping us to, they are trying to give us a structure about our each bojjhanga's practice. So a couple roles. I could say 3 roles. All right, I think that is good for today. It's about timing. And what we learned today is that meditation in the SABBASAVA Sutta directly means 7 bojjhanga practice. So practice 7 bojjhangas. The difference between normal Dhamma qualities and bojjhangas is that when somebody practices normal Dhamma qualities separately, it could be a separate practice. When somebody practices 7 qualities that you see under the 7 bojjhangas, exclusively with viveka, viraga, then what you call nirodha and seeking for nibbana, they will become bojjhangas. Whatever the good things you are practicing, this is very important. You may practice dana, sila, whatever other thing. They all are finally leading up to must lead up to the 7 bojjhangas. That is how you are going to make your way to nibbana one day. It's like for another. So today we discuss about how to understand these 7 bojjhangas, how to practice them, how they are going to help us to make us the way out of this sansaric life. And next Monday, not next Monday, the other Monday, we will be discussing about, we will be doing the final review of the SABBASAVA. Please get ready. I'll be asking some questions too. Wishing you a good night, safe drive back your home. See you another Monday.